Good afternoon, all the participants and honorable uh, faculty members of SAGE Group and all the participants who join us from outside also. मैं जो है आज एक ऐसी शख्सियत को आपके सामने जो है वो इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाहूँगा जो अपनी मेहनत के बलबूते कैसे हम जो है हम एक स्तर तक पहुंच सकते हैं। तो एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है सर हमारे सामने। तो सर हैं मिस्टर सौरभ साकरे। सर इंदौर से ही जो है इंदौर को ही बिलोंग करते हैं। सर ने जो है अपना बी से सिविल से किया। देन ही इज एमटेक इन इन्वायरमेंटल इंजीनियरिंग फ्रॉम SGS ITS इंदौर. He also clear GATE in 2013 and he has 2 years of experience as a project assistant at Division Environmental Impact and Risk Assessment at CSIR नीरी नागपुर. देन सर ने जून 2018 में जो है एज ए साइंटिस्ट CSIR तिरुवनंतपुरम केरला NIST जो है वो ज्वाइन किया. तब से अभी तक जो है सर वहीं पे अपनी जो है सेवाएं दे रहे हैं. तो मैं हमारे HOD जो हैं श्यान सर उनसे कहूंगा कि प्लीज वो आए और सर का जो है वेलकम करें.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
On behalf of Civil Engineering Department and State University.
Yes
I
sir.
welcome you sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much sir.
रूपेश सर ने बताया एक मतलब सुन के मुझे लग रहा है कि ऐसा मतलब एक साधारण आदमी की कहानी वो साधारण से असाधारण कैसे बन सकता है वो मेरे ख्याल से बच्चों को आज देखने को मिलेगा. और सर के साथ ही मैं सभी लोगों का स्वागत करना चाहूँगा. आई वेलकम यू ऑल. जो भी फैकल्टी मेंबर्स यहाँ प्रेजेंट हैं, जो भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स स्टूडेंट्स यहाँ पर प्रेजेंट हैं, सभी का स्वागत है. एंड ज़्यादा टाइम न लेते हुए आई ओवर टू सौरभ सर. तो प्लीज़ अपनी यात्रा का वृत्तांत पूरा सुनाए सर, ताकि हमें भी थोड़ा सा मोटिवेशन मिले कि हम भी कैसे मतलब आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, किस प्रकार से आगे अपना काम कर सकते हैं, और खासकर सर बच्चों के लिए. थैंक यू सर.
Now I will start. मैं आज इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट एंड असेसमेंट पे बात करूंगा. तो सबसे पहले मैं बता दूं कि आज का कंटेंट क्या रहेगा. फर्स्ट आई विल टॉक अबाउट CSIR which is my parent institute. Then I will give some introduction to EIA, its theory and process of EIA. Then I will present you one case study on EIA of mining of minerals. इस केस स्टडी को देखने के बाद आपको पूरे तरीके से समझ में आएगा कि आखिर हम EIA में शुरू से लेकर अंत तक होता क्या है. Then I will discuss about some rules, laws, notification and regulation related to EIA. Then if you want to do EIA, what kind of accreditations are required? If you want to do EIA, what kind of accreditations are required? That I'll tell you. मैं थोड़ा बहुत मेरे पेरेंट इंस्टीट्यूट के बारे में बताना चाहूँगा about CSIR. CSIR stands for Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. It was established in 1942 and it is a central government organization. Okay. जहाँ तक CSIR के सब्जेक्ट एरिया की बात है, CSIR covers a wide spectrum of science and technology like from radio and space physics, oceanography, geophysics, chemicals, drugs, right up to the environmental engineering and information technology. You can see on the right side of the screen, this is the presence of CSIR laboratories all across the India. You can see there are 38 labs of CSIR, 5 units and 39 extension centers. Okay, now right now I am sitting here at the southernmost corner, NIIST. Okay, so NIIST is a constituent laboratory of CSIR, which stands for National Institute for Interdisciplinary Science and Technology. It was established in 1972. Now I will be starting the introduction to EIA, theory and process of EIA. So first, I would like to clear one thing, that what is the effect and what is the impact. Okay, suppose you all are sitting in auditorium of your university, SAGE University, and suddenly there is smoke. Okay, everyone will say that, oh, this smoke has affected people, but affected people is a very subjective term. Okay, if I want to take some action, if I want to see something, I should have something in my hand in terms of numbers, like how many are from civil, how many are from electronics, how many are from some other branch, what is the categories of their age, like that. So basically the quantification in मैंने ब्रैकेट में लिखा भी है, the quantification in numerical or meaningful subjective terms of effect is known as impact. Okay, so when we quantify a certain effect in terms of numbers, it is known as impact. So when we do EIA, at every stage or every process, we have to see the impact and not the effect. Effect we will be knowing that okay, if this project comes and if this project start functioning, certain effects are there. But scientifically, when you want to report something, it should be in numbers, in scientific terms. So this impact, it is done at every stage process of a project or developmental activity. When it comes to EIA, environment has definition like environment in EIA context mainly focuses but is not limited to physical, chemical, biological, geological, social, economical and aesthetic dimension. All these things constitute together the environment in context of EIA. What I am trying to say is that when I say I am doing environmental impact assessment, so basically I am working on all these aspects: physical, chemical, biological, geological, social and economical. EIA is what? An important procedure for ensuring that the likely impacts. Okay, now this term should be clear to you. Impact. That's why I made it very clear to you before. Likely impacts of new development on the environment are fully understood and taken into account before the development or activity is allowed to go ahead. Okay, what we have to do? हमको सारे इम्पैक्ट जो भी उस पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट या एक्टिविटी के लगाने से आ सकते होंगे, उन सबको हमको पहले क्वांटिफाई करना है और उसकी रोकथाम के लिए कुछ ना कुछ उपाय करने हैं वैज्ञानिक रूप से, साइंटिफिक रूप से. उसके बाद हमको आगे बढ़ना है. ओके, सो इफ सपोज if I want to give you one more definition, it can be like a formal process for identifying likely effects of activities of projects on what? On the environment, on human health and welfare. And then we once we have quantified what are the impacts on the environment and what are the impacts on human health and welfare, then we have to give certain means and measures to mitigate and monitor these impacts. What exactly the impact is? मैं आपको एक सिंपल सा उदाहरण देना चाहूंगा. मान लीजिए कि आपके घर के पास में एक रिवर है. सपोज देयर इज अ रिवर नियर योर हाउस एंड all the house owners in your area is discharging their waste in that particular river. Okay, now suppose tomorrow there is one industry is going to set up near that river. Okay, now because all the house owners of that area are already discharging their sewage in that river, some pollution will always be there. Okay, some pollution will always be there in the river. I cannot say that this industry has done that pollution. So now इस एग्जाम्पल की लाइट में हम इस डेफिनेशन को पढ़ेंगे. द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ एन एक्टिविटी is the change from the baseline situation caused by the activity. So when I went to undertake a EIA study on that particular industry, I should see what is the present baseline of that area. Okay, if suppose present baseline area is already more polluted, already the water quality of that area is worse, I cannot say that this industry alone has done the damage and it should be charged with some penalty. That's why whenever you do EIA, baseline data generation is a very important step. You should see without the activity, without starting that activity or that project, what is the status of that environment of that area. When you do EIA, there are 4 stages in EIA. Okay, there are 4 stages in EIA. The stage 1 is screening. Okay, in screening you have to see whether EIA is required or not. Okay, whether EIA is required or not, because screening is mostly done for category B project. This category B I will tell you in further slides. You just grasp this point that in screening we see that whether we have to do EIA or not. Now we should see the EIA notification 2006. See, there are notifications earlier also, but the reason for directly showing you EIA notification 2006 is that it is the master notification. Okay, EIA notification is the master notification which was framed under the Environmental Protection Rules. Okay, EPA Act. I am assuming that you all must be aware of the EPA Act because it is the only Environment Act under which all the umbrella rules are coming. Only single EPA Act, Environment Protection Act, under which all these rules are coming. So I'm assuming that you must be knowing about that. So yeah, one more thing, this EPA Act was framed in 1986, just after that our Bhopal gas tragedy. Okay, looking to Bhopal gas tragedy, of course there were discussion in the government, but when that Bhopal gas incident happened, that our government took it very seriously, and they framed all these things that no, there should be some umbrella act which protect the environment. So under that EPA Act, only this EIA notification 2006 has been framed. Now, I told you that there are category B or category A project. So you see, first point, mining of minerals. If the area is more than 50 hectare of mine lease, it will go to category A, and that has to be dealt at central level. Okay, we have to go to ministry, central ministry. And if it is less than 50 hectare, you can deal it with the state level authorities. So this is how they have divided the projects in category A and category B. So I have not produced all the 40 sectors, but just to give you an example, it is easily downloadable and you can see from the website. Now, just to tell you, earlier EIA notification was in January 1994, but that was not much fully enforced on the people. So to fully enforce all these rules on the people, EIA Master Notification 2006 came and it superseded all the previous notifications. And now, presently, one draft EIA Notification 2020 is in discussion. It is not approved by the cabinet now. They are asking for suggestions from the EIA consultants, scientific institutions like CSIR that what else we can do in that. But for your knowledge, from 2006 to 2018, what all notifications and amendment has been made. There is one single document released by this Ministry of Forest and Climate Change. You can simply type Compendium of Gazette Notifications of EIA, and there will be a single documents of around 500 pages, and all the orders, rules and notifications are there in this compendium. That's why I have not produced this again here because there are a lot of data. But as a starting point, if you want to do something in EIA, you should know the EIA notification 2006, and you should have a watch on whether EIA notification 2020 is approved, so that you can have a updated work. Now, if you want to do EIA, you need certain accreditations. So basically, Quality Council of India, QCI, NABET. NABET means National Accreditation Board for Education and Training, is the sole agency which gives you accreditation that yes, you can now carry out the EIA studies for certain sectors. Okay, so QCI NABET accreditation is mandatory for an institute intends to carry out EIA studies. Now I will come to the job prospects or essential qualifications required for different components of EIA. Okay, suppose you want to work in land use. Yeah, one more thing. For a civil engineer, there is a lot of scope, because out of 12 components, almost 6 to 7 components require civil engineer. So suppose you want to work in land use, you should have a degree in civil engineer, physical planning, architecture, or environmental planning or environmental engineering, or if you are not from engineering background, you should have some science subjects in geoinformatics or remote sensing or geographical information system, and likewise. Or if you are not having both the things, you should have some experience in these institutes like NRSA, ISRO, or IRS, so that they can give you some accreditation. Yes, you can do EIA. Then air pollution, water prevention control, environmental, chemical, mechanical, civil, mining, and these engineers are required in this, or masters or MSc in these areas. Similarly, for meteorology, air quality modeling, environment, civil or chemical, water pollution prevention and control, environment, chemical, civil, mechanical. Apart from that, you can also see, apart from that, you can that science people, who are from natural resource management, biotechnology, biochemistry, chemistry, microbiology, and all can see. So primary reason for showing you this is that your HOD is also there. My friend Mr. Rupesh is also there, and your university is running different other programs also. So my primary reason for showing you this is that it is not basically for civil engineers only. Of course, civil engineer has a lot of scope, but almost all discipline can work in EIA because it is basically a general thing. Okay. Then ecology and biodiversity, you will need a degree in zoology, botany, or forestry, environmental science, etc. For noise and vibration, you may need degree in mining, mechanical, electrical, or instrumentation, civil or environmental, or sometimes aeronautical, like that. Yeah, socioeconomic. However, socioeconomic specifically requires degree in this environmental economics, urban planning, regional planning, psychology, political science, or sociology. Here there is no much scope for engineers. Then hydrology, groundwater, and water conservation. Again, you may need some civil engineer or mining engineer or mechanical or hydraulic engineers. Then comes the geology. So again, some mining engineer or the resource engineer can do the job. And soil conservation, only agriculture or civil engineer or MSc in forestry, chemistry, botany, natural resource management, and the like. And risk assessment and hazard management. For this, sometimes civil engineers are not qualified actually. In this, we require chemical, mechanical, fire engineering, chemical technology, or mining engineers, like that. And the last area is solid and hazardous waste. For solid and hazardous waste, chemical, civil, or environmental engineer can do the job. So now, by now, you must have observed that mostly the EIA part is civil, environmental, and chemical engineers are there, and some 10 to 20% part other people are also there. But as far as my experience is concerned, let me tell you very honestly, there are a lot of science people also working in EIA, and now they are on good positions. Like I told you, chemistry was almost everywhere common in this all these things, MSc chemistry. So people who did chemistry, who did MSc in chemistry can also do the job. Now, how you will see where to apply? I am specifically targeting this to students. How you will see where to apply? You go on Google, just type list of NABERT accredited EIA consultant.pdf. Okay, list of NABERT accredited EIA consultant.pdf. See, this is my institute, National Institute for Interdisciplinary Science and Technology. We are accredited in 2 areas: mining of minerals, open cast mining only, and ports, harbors, breakwater, and dredging. We are accredited in this. You go to site. First, you search list of NABERT accredited EIA consultant. You see all the consultant. You can get the email ID from there, and then you can approach. You can approach that, sir. My area of interest is this and that. Whether I can include in your team? Okay, because first, at least for 1 year, you have to work as a team member. There is a particular designation. First, for the initial 1 year, you have to work as a team member. Then you can get for functional area experts. But to start, you can start with this list. Okay, this list is a comprehensive list which gives her all over India. No other list than this. Just type list of NABERT accredited EIA consultants.pdf, and those students who after this talk are interested in going there, they can start their process from now onwards. They can just start seeing that, and you can start seeing in your area, your state, or your region. Okay.